Jill, and I head up the content team for the global events team at AWS.
And I'm Annie. I'm head of creative and customer experiences for our global events team. So Jill, we've got a good episode here.
Yes.
Buckle up, kids. This is going to be one of our longer episodes. We've got a lot of content. Today we're going to talk about reserved seating, but it's impossible to talk about reserved seating in isolation. There's so much that goes into thinking about your schedule and building your schedule. So this episode has a lot of content in it, but we think it's really valuable, and we're really passionate about all of this.
For sure.
Okay, so let's start with reserve seating and how it actually works for people.
Yes, so we're, and we will also be creating some resources to go along with this episode, with the actual how-tos, right? So there'll be screenshots of click this button if you want to schedule this session.
Yep.
Because we think it's more useful for people to have it in like a deck, like a PDF, than it is for us to talk through it.
Sure.
But reserve seating, we implemented reserve seating 3 years ago, the first reInvent that I was on the team.
Yeah, I remember.
And we implemented it because we were growing quickly and we wanted our attendees to have guaranteed seats in the sessions that they really love.
Right.
And we have improved every year. We've worked really hard to continue to improve the experience, both before going on site and going on site. And so this year, I'm really excited, and we're all really excited for the process and for some of the improvements that we've made. Reserve seating will open on October 15th, so mark your calendars. It's an important date.
Yeah, it is.
And at that point, people will be able to start reserving seats in their favorite sessions. So, of course, the session catalog is currently up and running right now. You can't reserve a seat, obviously, but you can favorite sessions that you want.
Right.
And the great thing about favoriting sessions is that goes onto your favorites list. And so when you go into reserve a seat, you could actually just go to your favorites list and start reserving seats from there.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Okay, but reserve seating going live on October 15th is it's kind of the end step. So let's back up and talk about what attendees should be doing ahead of reserve seating launching to get ready for that date. Because that is just the date where it's green as go, you can actually reserve.
Yep.
You've got to start planning and working ahead of that.
You have to.
Okay, so right now the session catalog is live and you can see the titles and abstracts. And then on
October 1st, so 2 weeks before reserve seating goes live, we publish the full session schedule.
Okay.
So titles, abstracts, speakers, venue, time, day, everything.
Okay.
And
so this is when your real work begins.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And what you can do is you can go into the session catalog at that point and you can actually start favoriting sessions and building out like your sample calendar. So favoriting is not the same as reserving a seat. So favoriting it doesn't guarantee you a seat or anything when reserve seating goes live, but you can have a list and backups of all the sessions that you're interested in. So, and I think one of the keys to having a good experience with reserve seating is giving yourself plenty of options.
Yes. Okay, so let me just talk about this here for a minute because I spend a lot of time every year talking to customers about how to get ready, and I liken it to going back to college.
Yep.
So I won't say what the process was quite like when I had been a phone involved and pushing some buttons.
That's a good story.
But the plan definitely was you would know that you wanted to take certain classes and you would have all of the times that is offered. We have the same sort of thing. So we've got sessions and we've got repeats of those sessions. You should sort of have all of the dates and times of the session that you want to get into, and then give yourself lots of options, as Jill said. So, some of the sessions do fill up quickly, and also, you might need to, I got into this session on Monday, so now that frees up this time on Wednesday. There are almost 3,000 sessions. I know you don't like to give a total final number until we get a little closer, but a lot of sessions. Go through, have a big list of things that you should be interested in. One of my pet peeves that I've heard the last few years is people who went into reserve seating day and they had 10 sessions they wanted to go to.
That's not the right approach. I mean, it just simply isn't. You're not going to get your first choice.
Yeah.
I mean, how often do you sign up for anything and you're like, I'm totally going to get my first choice and all of these really like this short 10 list of things that I want.
Yes.
So reInvent is like the rest of the world. You don't always get your first choice.
Yes. And you should just have a really big list so that you can go through, you can pick all of the things that you want to see throughout the week, all of the repeats that it's offered, and start there because and doing all of that work ahead of reserve seating launching, because that morning sessions, there are a lot of you, you're all sitting behind your computers waiting to click on the button right at the exact moment. They do sometimes seem to go fast.
Yep.
So the more prepared you are, and all of this work, I know it sounds like a lot of work, you guys. All of this work means when you get to reInvent that week, you are on autopilot.
Yes.
You just go, you've done all of your work, you're investing almost a week of time, 5 business days of being out of the office. You spent $17.99 on a ticket. All of this work actually helps you to get the most out of reInvent.
Yes.
So I know it sounds like we're asking you to do all these things, but the more you put in, the more you get out.
Exactly.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about some of the session types and how to build a balanced schedule, because there are a lot of different types of sessions we offer. You have to have a strategy there too.
For sure. So we have the traditional 60-minute breakout sessions, and those are, you have 1 or 2 speakers. They're talking to you and talking to you about deep dive content or intro content. It's kind of spans that whole thing.
Okay. Those sessions tend to be in larger rooms.
Yes, those are larger
more
rooms.
Seats
Yep,
available.
more seats. And then we have workshops, which tend to be smaller, usually around 100 people, little more, little less, give or take the room. But workshops are really hands-on. They're 2 hours long. You sit around a table with another group of people. You're building something. You're solving a problem. There's one speaker who speaks for about 10 to 15 minutes at the beginning of the workshop to set up the scenario, and then they then they go away, and you just get to work on that problem, or that whatever the challenge is. And then there are session support in the room. So there are AWS experts in the room. They walk around to every table. They make sure people have the information they need. They can answer questions. So it's a really good opportunity to get hands-on with AWS and get some FaceTime with AWS experts, which we know everybody loves. Then we also have Chalk Talks. Those are 60 minutes as well. And Chalk Talks are pretty small format, somewhere between like 50 and 80 people. So really small.
So really small.
And the idea is that it's to kind of help people talk through and work through real life architecture challenges. So that's why they're popular. So you've got 2 to 3 solutions architects at the front of the room. One of them, gets a conversation started. It's a 10 to 15 minute short lecture. Like the idea is to bring up questions and get people thinking. And then we've got 1 or 2 other essays up at a whiteboard. And we have these really cool whiteboard pens that project what they're writing on the whiteboard up onto the screen, so everybody in the room can see what's on the whiteboard. And then it's just an open Q&A session. So people can ask whatever questions come to mind, and that's how the discussion, that's how it goes.
Okay.
And so again, smaller format really gives people an opportunity to dive super deep. And architecture is broadly very popular. Like the architecture track on its own is popular, but anytime people get a chance to dive deep with our solutions architects is really, really cool and really special for them. So again, Chalk Talks are really popular. And then we have another even smaller format type called a builder session. So 6 attendees and 1 AWS expert. And actually this year, a few of our community heroes will be leading builder sessions as well. But 1 AWS expert, 6 attendees, and laptops up. There's not even a presentation. There's a monitor on the table so that everyone can see what the expert is doing. And you're in a sandbox environment in AWS, and you're creating and building and learning. It's a great place to learn about some of the new services that we launch. It's a great place to dive deep on services that you implement every day. You can come with questions. Again, it's you and 5 other people and an AWS expert.
All right. So couple of things.
Yes.
People get very excited about all of those smaller format
They do.
sessions
They do.
that we offer. We love to offer them, but you shouldn't bank your entire schedule on getting into a week's worth of these smaller sessions.
Correct.
And how do you tell when you're looking at the session catalog? How can you tell what type of session you're
When you're
looking
looking at the session
Yeah.
details, it will tell you the type.
Okay.
So it'll say session, workshop, chalk talk, builder session.
Okay.
So it'll be very obvious what type it is, and you'll know what you're signing up for.
Okay.
If anything is longer than 60 minutes, it's obviously a workshop because those are 2 hours. Everything else is 1 hour long.
Okay, so when you're looking at your list, I would recommend having a blend.
Yes.
So have a few of those, but I sort of liken it to when I talk to customers, I sort of liken it to those courses in college, going back to my college analogy, with that one professor who was really popular, where you know you're going to try to get in, but
Yep.
you also have realistic expectations.
Yep.
We love, like I said, we love to offer these sessions. They're very popular, but they're not meant for you to spend the entire week
Yes.
doing all of these small sessions. It doesn't work out that way.
It doesn't. And again, it's a practical matter of the number of people we have at reInvent versus the types of rooms that we have,
Right.
Versus, the people we have that are available to give the different types of sessions that we have.
Right.
But the lecture style sessions, while they're, it's a bigger room, it's more people, it's not a hands-on format, that's really the best place to hear like really in-depth knowledge from our leaders, right?
Right.
Like we have a series called our leadership sessions, and each track has a leadership session given by the VP of that service, right? So Raju Gulabani is our VP of databases and analytics and machine learning, and he does a leadership session, and you can sign up for that leadership session and you can go to it. You can hear from him on in-depth details of the things we're working on, and kind of like thought leadership and vision for moving forward. The leadership sessions are really interesting and really important. We want to be sure we're highlighting those for customers this year.
Yeah.
Those are, and it's really easy to tell what a leadership session is because the title starts out with leadership session, and then the rest of the title. So it's really easy to tell what those are. And you can also check out who the speaker is as well.
So in addition to the leadership sessions that have some of those really senior people at AWS who have so much information to give to our customers, the breakout sessions is also where you find sessions led by other customers.
Yes.
Some of the most popular sessions year over year that we've ever had at reInvent are some of those sessions that feature, every year it's always the Netflix guys.
Yep.
Love you, Netflix guys. They're always popular. So the breakout sessions are also that place for you.
And and they really talk about specific use cases. What we've learned is customers love learning from other customers on how they've dealt with actual problems that customer is trying to figure out.
Yep.
And so hearing from other customers on how they've dealt with different, with migration or whatever it is, the breakout sessions, those 60-minute lecture style sessions, are the place where you're going to hear those details from other customer speakers.
Okay, so we've given you our speech on, can you tell Jill and I care about this topic? We've given you our speech on the types of sessions and how to think about your session. There's another dimension to reInvent planning that is really, really important, and that is the location of the sessions that you're signing up for.
Yes.
reInvent is a multi-venue campus. We are spread out over Vegas, and you really have to consider the session that you're in, both for practical reasons, and I'll let Jill talk about that, but also for pragmatic reasons. Looking at your schedule to really sort of say, do I want to go from the Venetian to the Aria, back to the Venetian, back to the MGM, and then over to the Aria? Think about yourself as a person and whether you're going to want to actually sign up and do that.
Yep.
So as you're building your sessions and as you're making your plan for the week, we have a worksheet that my team has developed that will help you sort of write down all of the things that you're doing and planning. As you're making your favorites, really take note of what location things are in and how much time you really want to spend. And this year, there's a little bit of a change to how the session catalog works and what we let you do.
Yes. So we like to give our customers as much choice and as much freedom as possible. Everyone's an adult. You have to be at least 18 to attend reInvent. So technically everybody's an adult and, creates their own schedule, can think through things, everything like that. But what we've noticed is that when we don't put up guardrails, people tend to stack their schedules in a way
Yes.
that doesn't work in the real world. And we talked about this a lot in the last season of How to Reinvent.
And behind the scenes,
Yes.
our team has debated this topic back and forth.
Exhaustively. But basically, you cannot really get from one venue to another with less than 60 minutes and still get there in time to claim your reserve seat. Because we have the rule with reserve seating. This is an important rule for those of you who haven't attended reInvent and those of you who need a reminder. One of the important parts of reserve seating is 10 minutes before every session starts, all reserved seats are canceled and everyone is basically a walk-up. And we do that for the customer experience and for the speaker experience, right? So actually the first year we did reserve seating, we didn't do that. And everyone got to keep their seat until the session started. But then we had a whole line of people who wanted to come in and a whole bunch of empty seats from people who didn't claim their reserved seat. So then as the speaker was starting the session, we have a line of people coming in, which is not a great experience for anyone. So we created this, what we call the 10-minute rule. And so you have to be in line at your session in the reserved seating line at least 10 minutes before the start of the session to get your reserved seat.
Yes.
And we're really hard and fast about that rule, and people are really disappointed when they have a reserved seat and they don't make it. Because essentially what that means is, if you only give yourself 30 minutes to get from one venue to another, you only have 20 minutes to actually get there to claim your seat.
Right.
So what we've decided to do is actually make it so that people cannot reserve a seat in another venue from where they are with less than 60 minutes of travel time.
Yes, because last year we just had a little warning, and every time you tried to do that, we put a little warning on the screen, and most of you clicked the close button and didn't actually read the warning. So there were a lot of unhappy campers, and we understand there will be some people who are unhappy about this rule this year. But what we're trying to do is really in advance help you to make the right choices in terms of getting around the reInvent campus and realistically getting to sessions. So it is a bit of a change, but we think the end result will be worth it. So bear with us. As I said, we have talked through this back and forth. We actually, with reserve seating, our team, we have deep dives that we sit in a room and we are passionate about discussing all of these elements. So I guarantee you if there's an element to reserve seating that you're like, they haven't thought it through, I guarantee you we have, and I guarantee you that there were a lot of heated debates about it, and we've come to what we think is the best solution for you. So that's one of the reasons we're doing this show, to give people some insight into it so people understand, I know why they have that rule, or I know why they've made these choices.
The other thing to remember is that we take an everything is everywhere approach to content. So, one session might be in the Venetian one day, but it's going to be in the Aria the next day. So if you're staying at the Aria and you generally want to go to most of your sessions there, chances are the sessions that you want at some point are going to cycle through the Aria. And the other thing to remember when you're, starting to favorite and look at the session schedule is that not only can you like the session in every repeat instance of it so that you have all of those reminders, you are also, because liking doesn't block the time on your calendar, it's just a like, you can actually also stack sessions in the same time slot so that when you go to reserve a seat and you pull up your favorites list and you try to, maybe your first choice is full, then you already have your second and third choices stacked in there. So those are just some important things to remember.
Okay, so any other final words of wisdom that you want to give our viewers on reserve seating?
That my team, I run the content team. My team and I are super passionate about the calendaring and the scheduling of sessions. And it takes us a full month to really do it. And we're getting ready to head into that time. So, but just know that as passionate as you are about getting into those sessions, we're passionate about getting those sessions to you.
Yes.
So we're really excited for all the content that we're bringing this year, and excited to get on site and have people experience it.
And from my team's perspective, and the entire team, we also want to remind you to build in time for some of the networking and quirky activities that we do.
Yep.
So come to Midnight Madness on Sunday night, first and foremost. It's going to be amazing this year. Really excited about that. But we've got activities happening on Tuesday evening and Wednesday evening. They're really designed for you to hang out and experience reInvent in a way that works for you. So as I went through a lot of the comments from last year and pub crawl and the other evening activities, people wanted activities for introverts and networking where you weren't necessarily at a restaurant or a bar with a drink in your hand. So we've got movie night. So put your headphones on and watch some fun 80s movies. We've got sip and paint, which my team is very excited about. There might be some singing in some of the activities. So lots of ways for you to experience reInvent, be a part of the quirky Amazon culture, the quirky reInvent culture, which is its own thing. Lest I forget, I have to always put in a plug for Tatanka. So Tatanka is part of reserved seating if you would want to sign up for Tatanka. It is happening Sunday night at Midnight Madness. We are looking to crown a new winner this year. We love our Tatanka eaters. Jill and I will be there.
Yes.
So don't forget to pencil in all of those fun, quirky activities that you want to take part in.
Yeah.
All right, so we wish you luck in
Yes.
working on your schedule. Take the time, invest the time. It will make your reInvent experience so much better. And we will see you at reInvent and in the next episode of How to reInvent.
Thanks.